be in the right frame of mind. Actually, you know, Dave had a really good race. He was controlling the brakes. He was watching what was going on. You know, there was an element of they were pushing him a bit round the road, but in the final sprint finish, he wasn't there. I think Shelley might be a bit more disappointed 4 minutes down, but, you know, I guess by mid-season, you know, both are going to do a lot more on the road this year. There's plenty more for them to come.
Thanks for the moment, Tanny. Well, that's it for the elite races pretty much. We're going to focus on the masses now, so there's still lots to look forward to over the next couple of hours. Well, you have to be over 18 to run the London Marathon, but we've got the mini marathons. We'll be catching up with those a little bit later on. Then an inspiring story of a couple, a mother and a daughter pair from the Isle of Man, running for a cause very close to their hearts. Well, for Adrian Storr, weight loss lesson. His life was in danger, and the London Marathon was one of his ways of losing weight. And then we'll be catching up with lots more mini marathon stories, and indeed the marathon stories, the reasons that we watch the London Marathon and the reason we're inspired. One of the things that will help us to get those stories, to get a flavour of what's going on the course, is our reporters around and about along the 26.2 miles. Starting with Denise Lewis, she's at the Tower.
I'm here at Tower Bridge, the halfway stage of the marathon, and just the sight of this iconic London landmark will give the runners a real psychological boost, as they know that half the task has already been completed. From here, it's 6 miles down to Canary Wharf, and waiting for us will be Sydney Olympic 400-metre bronze medalist Catherine Murray.
90,000 people working Canary Wharf, but for one day every year, the business district opens its roads to 35,000 runners in the London Marathon. I'm here at the 18-mile point. The athletes are dwarfed by some of the biggest buildings in the UK. The sunshine's here, the crowd are here, the band are here. We'll send them on their way towards the famous face of Big Ben and, of course, the face of Colin Jackson.
Well, I am standing right under the world's most famous clock tower, and by the time the runners have reached me, it is the 25-mile point. So their London Marathon is nearly over. Just as they go around the corner, they'll just have the sight of the finish, and that should spur them on. So I'll be grabbing some people in the crowd and just reminding them of that.
When Mark Maddox crosses the finish line at today's London Marathon, he'll become the first person to have completed this race with motor neuron disease for the MNDA charity. Mark, a former professional footballer and father to 3 children, had been working as a football coach when he was diagnosed in 2010. Since then, Mark has completed the Liverpool Marathon and to date has raised thousands of pounds for the Motor Neuron Disease Association. He hopes that a cure or life-extending drugs can be found for those diagnosed with MND. Kim Hazleton was only 24 weeks pregnant when she gave birth to twins Jack and Willow. Both were born weighing less than 2 pounds. Tragically, a month after he was born, Jack lost his fight to survive. Willow, against all the odds, managed to pull through and grow stronger every day. Kim's running in this year's marathon to raise money for the charity Bliss, who were there to support her through such an extremely difficult time. Michelle Hoffman was just 14 when she was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, a form of arthritis which causes inflammation to the joints, the spine and other areas of the body. From her early teens, her health began to deteriorate drastically to the point where she was bedridden for almost a year. When Michelle was prescribed a new treatment called Humira, her life drastically changed. Within 3 hours she was able to stand again, and 2 weeks later she was walking. Michelle will be running the London Marathon this year with her fiancé Chris in support of Arthritis Research UK.
Among the 36,000 people out on the course today is Jan Lewis from Douglas on the Isle of Man. She's running for the charity Bliss, which has been a huge support to her. If the going gets tough, well, her athletic mum will be alongside to help.
This is in Crystal Palace. Oh my gosh, look at the rain. Yeah. Look at the rain. Look at the clothing. Look at the gear.
My mom started running in 1971, I think. She started at 800 and 1500 and then she moved up to a marathon.
I ran the Irish National Championship and I won that in a time of something of the order of 2:38.
You look like Simon Cowell with your high waist belt. I was born with a cultural spina bifida. Mine's the bottom end of the scale. There are a lot of people worse than I am. But from a young age, the exercise and the sports side was such a massive help.
When Jan suggested to me to run in the marathon, initially I thought, my God, she's mad, but she's a very determined person. And the Bliss charity is very close to her heart.
Hope was born at 26 weeks gestation. The first thing I thought to myself was, oh my God, is she gonna survive? Is she gonna live? Look, you're such a tiny little baby. She was literally the size of your hand with arms and legs dangling down.
There's all of these attendant potential medical issues that arise.
What's that? That was one of your heart monitors. They were worried about a heart murmur. Had 2 blood transfusions, constant vomiting after every feed.
Luckily for Hope, in her situation, she had some difficulties. Each of those have been overcome, and so she's no long-lasting effects.
I'm running for Bliss, which is for babies born too early, too tiny, too sick. And Bliss really helped us. They are just amazing. And I just thought I'd like to give back.
The last marathon I would have run would have been probably in the early 1980s. So it's 30 years since I ran.
The competitiveness hasn't gone away. I bet she'll clip me on the line. She, even in training, she has to be that little bit in front of you.
I always like to be in front. And so I get given out to all the time by Jan. Get back. If it goes bad and we're having a bad day, we're going to walk, we're going to crawl, but we're going to finish it.
Crossing the line together will just be amazing. And the emotions on the day, I'm not really prepared for that, but I'm sure there'll be lots of tears. I'll have to stick lots of tissues in my pockets.
And here they are, Jan and Mary. It's great to see you both.
At long last.
It's been a long few weeks and months to get here, but finally you're here. And how is it for you?
Oh, the atmosphere is just amazing, and the people and the support. Wow, it is. It's moving.
From total strangers, and then the people you met before the start, and we're all together, and it's amazing. We get to know each other's life stories.
Yeah.
It's a whole life experience.
And that's what today's so much about, isn't it? Getting to know people and raising lots of money.
Oh, lots of money, and because everybody has a story, you know, and it's very humbling. The whole thing is very humbling.
There's been tears already.
And your little girl, Anna, will be like waving. Is she here?
Already. I saw her at about 8.5, 9 miles, so yeah, they'll meet us at the end. But yeah.
Now all we have to do is find the toilet.
It's in that way, that direction.
Follow that way.
Another 15 miles, I said. Take care.
Well, it might not seem it, but Richard Whitehead will be absolutely delighted to be coming down the mile to huge cheers here. Puts his muscles on display. Later on this year, he's planning to run from John O'Groats to Land's End to raise over £1 million for various cancer charities. There's not one person in the mile will not admire and will not be slightly jealous of the ability of Richard Whitehead, whether it's a sprint